So, I haven't been on here in a couple of weeks, and I figured I would kind of come on here and explain. Not that I really feel that I need to, but at the same time, me personally, I want to because it is a big part of my life that has changed. I do not want to have to edit this too much because it's already an emotional video. I more than likely will cry, and that sucks because I don't like crying in public. I don't like crying on camera. I don't like crying pretty much in front of anybody. So if you have watched a couple of my vlogs, you know that my grandmother had cancer, and it's one of the reasons that I haven't been able to finish the Summer I Turned Pretty series because of what happens in between book 1 and book 2. It was just too emotionally raw at the time. After 2 long years of battling her second round of cancer, unfortunately on March 7th, Grandma could not fight any longer, and she unfortunately passed away. Sometimes I feel like it's fortunate because those last couple days were very hard, and I did not want to see her like that, and I knew she didn't want to live like that, but my grandma is my world, and I'm already crying. My grandma is my world, my lifeline, my best friend, my confidant, my mom. She and my grandfather pretty much raised me, and to have her missing from my life is probably the hardest thing that I will have to deal with in the next couple of years. I know that it gets better with time. I lost my neighbor. She was basically my adopted mom. I lost her a couple years ago in September. About 2 years ago, it will be this September. It was 2016. And so I know that it gets better with time, and you're gonna cry, and it's gonna suck for a long time, but it's emotionally killing me that I know that she's not here. And my mom is halfway across the country. She lives in Maine, and she did not have the finances to get here to help me with this. So it's been my grandfather and I pretty much doing everything, and it's been really hard. Not only just emotionally, but time commitment wise. I was very fortunate that I lost her just before spring break, so I did have a week off of school to deal with the house and everything, and trying to decide what I was keeping and what he was keeping, and what other members of my family might want, and what we're donating versus what we're selling. My grandfather just kind of doesn't want the burden of trying to sell all of her clothes, so we're just going to donate them all. A lot of things are not so sentimental. When they moved to Missouri from Florida, they didn't keep a lot of junk. They really kind of went through their things and packed up what they could fit in a U-Haul and kept those things. So there is a lot of kind of knickknacks she bought here in Missouri that aren't sentimental, but there's a lot of things that when going through her stuff I've found, I'm kind of, to be honest, I'm a 3rd generation pack rat because I found a lot of things that I might not have kept, or that I'm glad that she kept, or that I'm glad that my great-grandmother kept, and that she eventually passed on to my grandmother. My grandmother died back in 2003, I think it was. And so my grandmother, she had moved in with us. There wasn't too much to go through, but she did kind of keep a lot of things from her. There was an entire box that I found of just like her things and some family things that my great grandmother had. And I'm very glad that I found those. But as you can understand, when losing someone who is so close to your heart, it's hard. And especially when you're slightly already borderline on the depression area. In recent years, I have had some mental health issues as far as anxiety and depression, especially last semester when I was having shingles pretty much every month with my anxiety. Though I am not on any kind of medication, I have tried to seek counseling, and so having such a huge thing happen, obviously she had cancer, it was terminal cancer, but she went from being okay and kind of trying to get back on her feet to really not living, truly living so quickly that not that we didn't have time to prepare, but all of these little things that I've been putting off because I didn't want to deal with them emotionally, are kind of just hanging in the balance. I'm taking a lot of things into my home because I'm afraid that they might be sentimental or that somebody else in the family might know what they are, because I personally couldn't take wanting to go through them. We have an entire Cheerio cabinet that I'm taking of just all of these knickknacks because I'm afraid that they might be something, because in those final months I refused to go through them because I didn't want to. Because I didn't want to accept that it was coming to the end. Obviously, you guys know Riley. I don't think she knows necessarily what truly happened. I don't think she understands that Grandma actually did pass. I think the only animal in our house that truly knows what happened without even being there is Tiger. He's been so amazing, and I've never kind of expected him to be like this, because Tiger is originally my husband's cat, and he's very attached to my husband. My husband is his other half. He's very attached to him. They're very close, and so Tiger has kind of always not necessarily kept me at arm's length. I mean, with Bread on the Road, he obviously wants attention from me, but he's never truly acted like he has in the last month or so. Even when I'm I'll sit like this in front of the couch and do my homework on my laptop, as you've seen in I did that in a couple of my vlogs. You can see that I sit on the floor in front of the coffee table so I can watch TV while I'm doing homework, and Tiger will just come up and sit his front half of his body on my shoulder. I found a journal from her, and I never really believed that people come to you in your dreams. I always thought that dreams were your subconscious. I believe in ghosts, and I believe that people come and visit you. I just didn't believe that they would come to you in your dreams. And then I found a journal that my grandmother kind of had a little bit, and she explained about how after my great-grandmother, pretty soon after, I think it was within a month, she explained how she had this dream about my great-grandmother and how she was there, and then grandma realized, and grandma was all okay, and then grandma realized in the dream that great-grandma was not there anymore, like, he had passed on. And so that's when she started freaking out within the dream. And a couple days after it had happened, I also had a dream about Grams, and the dream had nothing to do with Grandma. It's just all of a sudden in the dream, and I don't even remember the rest of the dream, all of a sudden she was just standing there, and in my brain I realized that she was actually gone, and I dropped to my knees and I just cried in front of her in this dream. And so then in a week after, when I found this journal and she had had a similar experience with my great-grandmother, I realized that it had to be her, and it broke my heart because I know that she's watching over me and she's seeing me cry so much for her, and I know she doesn't want me to cry for her because she wants me to go to school and be a good student and do all of these things, and I don't want to fail her, but at the same time I lost her. And I really hope none of my family ever finds this, because I know that they're gonna be heartbroken if they ever see me cry like this, because I don't cry like this. My mom explained it perfectly, that we get our shit done and we cry on our own, and there's a lot of shit to get done, not just for Grandma, but in my own personal life. I'm still in the middle of my spring semester. I have 4 classes, and to be honest, most of my teachers aren't, not that they're not understanding, they are understanding, but at the same time, they kind of expect me to be an adult and pick up and move on, whereas one of my teachers is more understanding than the rest, and it's just like, get your homework in by the end of the semester. So it's hard, I'm not gonna lie. And if I'm moving my foot fell asleep, so we're kind of dealing with that. It's also hard to eat healthy, because when I'm going through the grieving process, and I experienced this with Melissa, I don't get hungry. It's noon or something, and I still haven't eaten today because I'm just not hungry. And I find that people do one of 2 things when they're grieving someone. They're either constantly hungry and just stuffing everything in their mouth because they're so upset that they feel the need to fuel it with food, or you're just not hungry. You don't want to eat. It's not that you don't want to eat. You want to eat, but you don't get hungry, so you forget to eat. And I've actually had to start sometimes setting alarms for myself to remind myself, hey, it's lunchtime, have you eaten? Hey, it's dinner time, have you eaten? And then once I start eating, I'll eat until I'm stuffed, but I don't start eating until I remind myself to. So that's a fun thing. We took a couple of pieces of furniture into our home that were bigger and were more on the sentimental side, that were more of family pieces, both this rocking chair and the kind of, if you can see the hutch back in the background, those are both new. Not new to me or to the family, to me. They were both owned by my great-grandmother, Polly, and they were things that have been in my childhood home. I found a lot of home movies, and I plan on digitizing them and putting them on DVD instead of having them in VHS, which is slowly going out of style. And you can see in some of the videos, you see this rocking chair, you see that hutch. They're things that have been in my family households since I was born, basically. So they weren't things that I had a problem taking into my home because I knew that I wanted them. I wanted to keep them. I wanted them for my children. Even if they were total crap pieces, they were still pieces that we've had in our family for years and years and years, and that's not something I want to have go away. There's a glass cabinet that has little tiny figurines. I mean, they're microscopic, and they've been in my household my entire life, and so I am gladly taking them. There are things that I'm taking from my grandparents' house simply because I don't have time to go through them right now, and I don't have the mental or emotional capabilities right now to go through them. I would rather save them for summer when I have more time on my hands, when I'm not so strapped with school and trying to help Grandpa move out and planning a memorial and things like that. So I really just wanted those to have and to be able to go through later. I feel like I'm good on crying now that you guys seen me cry. But yeah, that's where I've been. I did have a video that I was planning on going up, but it was the day before Grandma passed away, and I just didn't get around to it. It's already uploaded. I just needed to schedule it, but I never made like the thumbnail and stuff like that, so I really need to get to that so that it can go live. I am hoping to film some more videos very, very soon. I don't know when though, with everything going on. I just need a little bit of time to get my family in order. One of the things that we are having is a memorial. She has been cremated, so we didn't have to do a viewing very soon. So we were having to pay the amount of my mom getting down here from Maine. And so we literally sat in a room, myself, my grandfather, the priest, and the funeral director, and we all just sat in a room, and I was on kayak figuring out what was the cheapest airfare price to get her down here and when would be the cheapest, and then having the priest call the church, finding out, can we do a ceremony that week? Can we do this? Can we do that? What time would be best? And with my school schedule and trying not to miss classes. So it was a good like hour and a half to 2 hour process of figuring out all of these little details that go into one day. I don't think that I think even my wedding day was not as emotional to plan as this ceremony for Grandma truly is. As for another part of this video I wanted to talk about, so while going through Grandma's stuff, I found a lot of things on my great-great-grandmother, my great-great-great-grandmother, like my great-grandfather, all of these family members that I really hadn't known. And so I decided I was going to do some DNA tests. I'm doing 2. I'm not just doing one because I'm just that extra. I'm not sponsored, so I paid for this with loan money from school. Thank you, government. So, I'm doing Ancestry DNA and 23andMe. I'm kind of comparing them. I will talk about the results when they come in. Kind of just an overview of my experience so far with getting the kits actually delivered. So I ordered them the same night within 2 hours of each other. 23andMe came first. It comes from Indiana, whereas Ancestry comes from Utah. And 23andMe was shipped via USPS. Ancestry was shipped through UPS. Yeah, UPS. And 23andMe came 2 days faster than Ancestry, which I don't mind. They still came pretty fast. I mean, this one came yesterday, and this one came Monday, and I think I ordered them Friday or Saturday. So that's still pretty fast. The directions are pretty similar. 23andMe, you get a cover on this box. This is your cover with your step-by-step instructions on the back too, with a little pamphlet inside too. But 23andMe, you send back this box, this really more bigger box. And then with Ancestry, you send a smaller box that came in this box. So I feel like if you're concerned about the environment, there is definitely less waste with 23andMe. As far as taking the test, I found 23andMe to be easier. They send you a tube. I'm trying to open this. There we go. So you can see here that they send you a tube. You're not supposed to eat or drink, and obviously I haven't eaten or drinking anything today. So that was fine. And I didn't want to spit on camera. I think that's so gross. But, so you spit into this thing and you fill up to the fill line, which for me, for this one, took 2 spits. Might be different for you. I don't know. Depends on how much you spit. I don't know. And so the cap, you just like close and it just comes out. The like liquid comes out, the sterilizing liquid. But then you detach the cap and you put on the extra cap. Now, as far as like the little baggie, I did like the Ancestry baggie a little bit better, and it's easier to close and put into the box. The Ancestry test, it was a little bit different. You spit with the cap, and then you twist off the cap and have to put the sterilizing liquid on top. Now with the sterilizing liquid though, mine didn't break the first time, so I had to keep like twisting and pulling it off and twisting. So it was a little bit harder to do this one. But I like the bag of this one better because it's smaller and it was easier to seal. And I know it's sealed nice and good. So, I don't know. Make your decisions. The difference, I did get the health one. It says on the front of this. So I did get the health and Ancestry with 23andMe. So this one was substantially more expensive than Ancestry. This one is $159. Yeah, I spent $159, guys. And this one was on sale. I did this over St. Patrick's Day weekend, so they are both on sale. This one was $69.90. That is a substantial difference, but if you only get the Ancestry one from 23andMe, I think it was only $49.99 or something, so that's more comparable. I don't think Ancestry tells you anything about your health, so kind of go into knowing that. Both of them seem pretty easy to seal. As far as the box goes, you just pull the little, pretty much like every box, you pull off the little thing and then you seal it. I didn't want to give the DNA tests its own video as far as sending it off. I hate when people do that. They're like, I did a DNA test, and they're like, this is me spitting into a tube and sending it off. I'll make a new video in 6 to 8 weeks. No, please, God, no. So, I wanted to do this within my video of telling you where I've been, because that's just one of those things. Again, as far as like waste, if you're concerned about the environment, with the Ancestry DNA test, I have these just sitting here that I'm gonna have to throw out. So on top of the box, it was packaged like this. So I have all of this nonsense that has to be thrown out. Both of them did come cellophane wrapped, so that's not saying much. And then both of them came with instructions. Ancestry, you be in pain. So they have you write down your activation code, but then your activation code is on the back of your little freaking pamphlet. What the freak? Waste. 23andMe did come with 2 different cards. This is the instruction pamphlet, and then this is like your, hey, we're excited to help you, and this is where you write your activation code just to have it on file, and you have to register both of them, so I still need to do that. But the only waste that I have left over from 23andMe is this. It's all paper waste. So I could technically recycle this. Whereas Ancestry, you have all of this like packaging and stuff. So just if you're concerned about the environment, know that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I hope that you not necessarily did enjoy this video, but it gives you an insight of what is going on currently on this side of the camera, on this side of the computer screen, or your phone screen, or your TV screen. I know I put YouTube on my TV all the time. Fire Stick. Not sponsored by Amazon either. But who wouldn't want to be sponsored by Amazon? But that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on over here and where I have been and why there haven't been videos, and I don't know what else to say. But I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And trust me, I know it gets better. I know that it's gonna take time, and I know that it gets better, but that's just kind of what's going on over here. And I'm sorry for crying. And I'm gonna try not to edit it out because it was raw, and I think that you guys deserve raw right now. You don't deserve me trying to hold it together. I don't deserve me trying to hold it together. That's not something I want to do. So I will talk to you guys later. I will have new videos soon. I haven't been reading that much, so hopefully I will get back into it and back into the swing of things. I have a lot of overdue books because I just haven't, to be honest, other than going to the gym and going to dinner last night, I haven't left my house in like 4 days. I've left my house for like an hour at a time in this last week. So I am not okay, but that's okay.